Hello boys and girls, welcome to Radio ISR. For those of you who are watching us on YouTube right now, unfortunately you have to start looking at our ugly mugs because we've decided to go with a new format. However, for those of you that are at home right now and they're listening to this on a podcast, then you don't have to worry about that. Speaking of podcasts, we get emails all the time about how can I listen to you guys on a podcast. I've never used that feature before. So if you've got an iPhone like me, it's pretty straightforward. All you got to do is open up your normal iPhone, and then basically on the app page swipe all the way to the right, and then you'll find a little search bar, and then type in podcast, and then you'll see the pre-installed app that's already there on your iPhone. And then from there, open that app, hit the search phone and look for Radio ISR, and it will appear. And then if you want, subscribe, and then you don't have to go look for it ever again. You'll get a notification when the new episode goes out. And for everybody else at home right now, I just want to talk to you about our new format. As you can see, we're trying to do something a little bit different here. And I've got Carlos and I've got Dave Curd in the studio right now.
How's it going?
Good. And Carlos will be our resident AX expert, so any questions at all that we will then pass that on to him when it comes to anything to do with the auto exchange. So I also wanted to talk about somehow, since we've restarted the show up, how we come up with today's show. Well, basically what happens is that we managed to get a few emails from a few guys out there, all asking for specific things, all maybe some problem solving, some ideas. So some of the things that came in was, we had a question was, I'm struggling with closing, SPO business, what do you suggest? So we're going to answer that. We also had a nice question that came in, is having good product knowledge important to being a great salesperson? And then finally, something that's up Carlos's alley, which is foot traffic isn't great off base, and what you suggest I do to increase foot traffic. And that came from Eddie in Germany. So they're the things that we'd like to review. And also, there's a few of you out there right now that will be watching this live on YouTube. And we have a live viewer chat window. So maybe if you could take a few minutes during the show, maybe throw in some chats, and then we'll do our best to read them out as the show goes on. So without further ado, let's talk about right now our letters to the editor. So I'm struggling with SPO business. What would you suggest? Okay, so yeah,
find another job.
Especially if you're out in the Far East or Japan. Maybe not so much here in Europe where we get a lot of local delivery, you know. But there's no doubt about it, trying to close SPO business is going to be more difficult. And generally the reason for that is that our customers aren't in a big need situation. They generally are looking further down the line. And as we all know in business nowadays, you know, most of things are set up with kind of a short-term impending doom situation. So manufacturers do it all the time. Order your car now, take delivery by X. And they do that to keep people off the fence. And, you know, you see this all the time, sales only from a certain period. So when it comes to SPO business, we all know is a lot more difficult to do, that's for sure, because you don't have that impending doom on there. So one of the things that, you know, I think that's important is that, you know, you get inside the mind of your customer and understand that people just like to procrastinate. I think, Dave, you know that very well, right?
What are you trying to suggest?
Not personally against yourself, but a man who's done a procrastination.
No, yes, I think it's definitely a human trait that we find in a lot of salespeople, but also in our customers as well. So definitely something that we should be able to empathise with.
That's no doubt about that. And people, yeah, absolutely 100% love to procrastinate. And if they can avoid making a decision, they will avoid making that decision. So using kind of impending doom when it comes to SPO business is it's just not viable. It's just not, you know, good enough. So one of the things that I like to do, and I think that is important when you're doing a SPO, and hopefully the boys agree with me, is maybe reasons to do it today as opposed to waiting till later on. So, you know, maybe there are really good reasons why you should SPO your vehicle today as opposed to waiting to 3 to 4 months before you're about the PCS. So that's kind of what you maybe should try and come at that angle, if that's the case, you know. So John, who's out there in Japan, let me see my best if I can answer this right now. So we all know some of the benefits to basically ordering a vehicle from us. So we got price protection. Yeah, we tell our customers it all the time. You know, if you lock into a price today, you don't have to worry about the price going up in the future. And we all know that's true. And anybody who sees milk quote coming out every 4 or 5 days absolutely knows that there's always upgrades and changes to the pricing. And, you know, that's just the way it is. So yeah, that's a benefit for sure. But it may not be the be all and end all that's going to swing your customer to giving us money today. So the next part is we have, especially on the PX program, unfortunately we don't have that on the AX, Carlos, which is basically get the better rebate till the day you drive away. And that's also another nice part of our program. And of course that means to your customer that yes, you can lock into the price today, but if it gets better, guess what? You can claim the better price till the day you drive away as far as the rebate goes. Right? So that's nice, no doubt about it. And you know, for some customers they might think, well, you know what, I know the rebate might increase. That's their belief system. So, you know, that's just something I'm going to get anyway. So, and we know that's not always the case. But one thing I think it's important, and we always get this point across to our customers, is that, you know, maybe the lead time is right now 4 months to get your car built and delivered, you know, to a stateside dealer. It could be 5 months. God knows what's going to happen next year.
Could be a year.
Could be a year. Absolutely. So, but whatever that lead time is, we're generally going to tell our customer, well, that's really going to be the cutoff. But we don't know in the future. We don't really know that it might be, as I said, it could be 5 months, it could be 6 months, or it could be back to 3 months. We don't really know. So what the great thing about it is if a customer does lock in today, then at least then they're reserving that production slot, and they're reserving us so that they make sure that whenever that time does truly come that we need to push the vehicle, to put the button for that vehicle, it will happen. So that's important as well.
I think that's a really good one as well, because really a lot of customers have the hidden notion that we can sell as many cars that we want to sell. They don't know about the allocation slots being allocated directly from the manufacturers there as well too. So it definitely behooves them to actually get those reservations out there. So
thank you, Carlos. Absolutely, I completely agree. And then, you know, one of the things our customers are always afraid of, and quite rightly so, is that they won't be able to make changes to the vehicle. So if they lock into the vehicle today, guess what? If they change their mind on something, then, you know, they're not going to be able to do that. And that's not necessarily the case, because until the vehicle's ordered, you can still make changes. So that's another point that you could come across to your customer and let them know, hey, look, right now we're locking in the price, we're doing this, this, and this, but eventually your car is going to go into production. So right up until then, you're still going to be able to make some changes. So if you want to change the color or add a sunroof, you'll be able to do that. So again, there's no element of risk. And then finally, something I think you should always hit upon with your customer is to make sure that they understand that really they're putting a small deposit down today to make all this happen, but they really have between now and the take delivery of the vehicle, well, pretty much up until take delivery of the vehicle, to save up more money and apply that towards the principal. And in fact, if they time it right, most times their payments won't even start till after they drive away. So really, it's just a small deposit today, and really for massive, massive benefits. And I think if you come across that way to your customer, and you that's basically how you put it across to them, reasons to do it today as opposed to waiting till later on, I think you're going to have a lot more success with this. Dave, you'd like anything to answer on that one?
You know, I think just listening to you talking there, and I know we're considered low pressure salesmen because why? Because we think of the customer first, right? For 1 second, I'm going to think of the ISR first, right? I remember months when we were starting off in a business in a new location, and of course you want to do quick wham bam deliveries and quick stock orders, and in a lot of locations in the Middle East, the Far East, that's not possible. Southern Italy, that's not possible. A lot of locations, the UK, is not possible to get one turned over that quickly. If you actually build up a nice special order bank, you'll come into the months after 3-4 months down the line where suddenly you've got 5, 6, 7 in reserve on top of the new business that you're building. So it's very important to learn how to sell a special order so that for your own business, you've got a nice flow, a nice bank of open orders that you can fall back on in the lean months that will go down for you as well. And plus, it's always nice to be able to tell a customer, listen, I can get you exactly what you want. You're paying 40, 50 grand for a vehicle. It's nice to know that you're going to be able to get exactly what rims you want on it and exactly what colour you want. And, you know, it's not rocket science, but people will wait. They will have patience if they're spending that much money on a vehicle, they'll wait for it.
Yep, and also keeping in mind that you have a lot of stateside dealers to where this option is just not possible. You know, stateside dealers, they are really concentrated on moving stock, you know, so with our customers, being that it's, you know, especially on the AX side, and when you start looking in the price ranges of the $50,000, $60,000, and $70,000 range, it is truly an investment. So being able to have that buying power to special order with no extra cost, you know, to the customer is definitely something that we can think of the customer in that point there as well, with help them along with their investment.
No doubt. The whole SPO thing is absolutely a win-win-win for the customer, and it's just basically showing them why they should do it today as opposed to waiting until later on. So it's just all win it is, that's for sure, you know. Okay, so one other thing I forgot to mention there. So anybody who likes basically this, you know, reasons to do this today as opposed to waiting later on, I've got a video up at our learning center. And it's me and a guy named Pat or Marky doing it, where, you know, I'm playing the salesman, he's the customer, and we do this thing called the procrastination close, and it's pretty much exactly what I spoke about there. And if you're interested, I'm going to put a link in the description. All you got to do is scroll down to it, click it, and then log in like you normally would do when you log into our learning center. And you'll see it down there in Selling Today, and you'll see it. It's called procrastination close. So, you know, again, hopefully you'll enjoy it, and hopefully it'll teach you a few little things. So I'm going to look at our next letter that came in.
What's the benefit of a quick wham bam delivery?
So here's one that should be right up your alley, Dave, which is basically, is having good product knowledge important to being a great salesperson? And that was coming from Sean in an undisclosed location in the ME.
Okay. Well, I could talk about product knowledge for hours, so I will. How long does this podcast go on for?
As long as everybody's listening and they haven't already gone home.
Well, one of the everyone says knowledge is power, right? So I 100% believe that it gives you the power to close more sales. And one of the benefits of good product knowledge is that it strengthens your communication skills with a customer. So what I mean by that is, you're going to be able to be so relaxed in front of the customer because you've got the confidence to know you know everything about the product they're looking for, that you can switch up your sales style. So every customer you have, obviously you're not going to take the same sales style with the same customer, because some of them you have to ask open-ended questions, close-ended questions, depending on what style the customer is portraying. So it allows you to be more relaxed in your presentations, you know. It also allows you to boost enthusiasm, because if you're enthusiastic about your vehicle because you know everything there is to know about the vehicle, then of course it's going to get them more enthusiastic. It gives you an edge over the competition. So, you know, if you turn around and there's someone struggling to actually tell a customer the difference between specs on an XLT versus a limited, or when a vehicle is available, or how quickly you can get it for them, you're going to have that edge and you're going to sell more cars, you know. It grows confidence in a customer. So a customer who may be on the fence because they're not confident that the ISR they're talking to is not knowledgeable and won't give them a good service to back up that, then obviously they're not going to be as enthusiastic to order for. I'll give you an analogy here, right? If I'm going to go in and have brain surgery and I'm talking to the surgeon beforehand and he says to me, well, I'm new to this and you're one of my first my first operations, you know, I'm going to say, you know what, I think I'll take my business elsewhere, you know. Equally, if I go in and buy an ice cream down the road and there's two ice cream shops beside each other and one of them says, I don't really know how to use this new Mr. Whippy machine, I'm going to go and buy my ice cream somewhere else, because both the brain surgeon and the ice cream salesman could both mess up my day, yeah? And I want them to get it right. So I'm going to go with the one who's the professional, who I know is going to give me a nice brain surgery and sell me a nice ice cream. It also will assist in answering objections. So an objection, as we all know, is just another form of a question. It's just a customer asking you a question. So if you're completely knowledgeable in your product, you'll be able to answer that question immediately and move on with the sale. And it will also, well, what I want to talk about now is how to gain product knowledge, right? We have so much literature out there today that you'll be able to actually get on the academy with all this good stuff that Neil puts out there to learn about it, learn from other sales representatives, do training sessions with your RSMs, learn from testimonials online. But I think what will give you the edge is by reading up on stuff that's not in the mainstream on the website. So if you go to enthusiast magazines online, you'll be able to get stuff that people won't know about, that you'll be able to tell your customer that's genuinely interesting to them, you know. Practical use of the product, you know. If a mother of 7 children comes into you, but we probably don't have a lot of product to sell someone with 7 children, but with 5 children comes into you, there's no point in telling her what the horsepower of an engine is, you know. You want to be knowledgeable about how versatile the vehicle is with 7 passenger seating and how it's going to change her life for the better, you know. Things you should know about your products, certainly pricing structure. Yeah, if you see a rank come in and they're a lower rank and they turn around and they're looking at, you know, a V8 engine, maybe you'll be able to, you know, be knowledgeable on that and tell them, well, the V6 has the same horsepower in a Mustang as a V8 did 10 years ago. You know, actually the 2.3 litre EcoBoost has the same horsepower there or thereabouts as the 4.6 litre had 10 years ago. So if you have that knowledge about the history of a product, you'll be able to say to them, I know you want to have that power, but guess what? You're getting that power, but at a lower entry price now. What styles they come in, you know, if someone comes in and they say, you know what, I've got kids in the back, I need to have leather because I want to be able to wipe it clean. You need to know what model trim, has the leather interior, immediately to be able to direct them to that model and give them a price bracket on it. The history of the product. If you know that this is a 100-year anniversary, why is that a big deal? Why is it, an icon of that era? If you have a 1-year anniversary, why is the styling of this change? What's the benefit of it? If there's a special manufacturing process, you should know about it. For example, on an F-150, if they're built from aluminum, military grade aluminum, what's the benefit? It lighten the vehicle, it's a higher strength. You should be able to know all about the manufacturing processes of it, how to use a product. You don't want to be stuck trying to take a roof off a Jeep and not be able to show a customer how to unclip it and put it back in and say, it's so easy to do, but just give me an hour here and I'll be able to do it myself.
One of the things that I was taught from day one was how much product knowledge, and I think you hit on it there, you should use during your presentation. And one of the things is that, during any presentation, 15% of the presentation is what? Product knowledge, but you need to know 100% of it.
Yeah.
And I think you were just hitting upon it. It's the same thing as basically is that you got to measure that person up. They want to hear about this, that, and the other, then you're going to tailor make your presentation. But you and I think, Carlos, for yourself, I think there's been, as a guy who's selling premium products, I'm sure with Mercedes and Audis, there's an element where you have to really know your stuff when it comes to the product knowledge, right?
Right, absolutely, and the full spectrum of it, and you have to be able to make that lateral movement at any given time to when a customer, can't see the customer's mindset or what have you until those questions come about, and you have to definitely be prepared at any given time.
I can imagine, someone said, I asked you what type of engine's inside this Mercedes, and they're thinking about spending 70 grand for it, and you can't even answer that. You don't know if it's a 3.5 litre or whatever, and it's pretty poor. And I think milk quote is a bit of a crutch that way, because the guys can open up milk quote, go through it, and then they can kind of right click it and basically use that as a prompt. But I always see that as a bit like a navigation system. When I'm driving down the road and I'm using my navigation system, I could drive it 10 times the navigation system and never be able to find it unless I'm using the navigation. And I do it one time, I drive without the navigation system, and boom, I know exactly how to get there every time. So I think that's sometimes a bit of a crutch with technology. I think sometimes you run it for product knowledge. You just got to take old-fashioned pen and paper, write it out, learn it, and then utilize it as you go along on it.
And also that sometimes how customers can then vex the ISR there as well, because a lot of times they can ask you a question about product knowledge that they may already know the answer to. So don't invent, answers to questions. How many horsepower was 500 horsepower when the customer knows it only has 250. So then you definitely want to.
They've done the research and they love the product. That's why they come into you. And then if you're sitting there and you don't share the same enthusiasm for the product that they've come in the door with, why would they buy off you? I wouldn't. And you've seen that a lot on Harley sales. Is a really good example of that, where customers come in and then want to get some information on Harley Davidson, and the salesperson's kind of like, I hardly know anything about it. I'm not going to give you my business, and that's really something that really stands out, especially on that Harley business as well.
I certainly don't think you should overwhelm a customer with too many, too much product knowledge, because every customer has a different need and different want and, a different DBM. And certainly if you turn around and try and, I don't want to say gloat, but you try and show them I'm a real expert at this, look how much I know about this product, you're just going to bore them, So if you're an expert in it, you can then say, okay, I'm going to take these 3 benefits and I'm going to tailor make my presentation for you. You have to become an expert. It's just like the Scarecrow who won the award for being outstanding in his field.
Keep the jokes coming. Listen, our chat window's been pinging away as you've been speaking here right now. So believe it or not, there's definitely someone listening to us right now. So I'd like to maybe put this on screen. So do me a favor here. So okay. So let me see what we got. Is that right? Where are we? Just there we go. Okay. So I think original response I'd set up there was from Radio ISR. I'd gone, what's up? And I got Big Ben _Dove. Dave couldn't close a door.
Jesus, I tell you what, the 5 Rolexes on my arm say something different. I choose to lose a few of them.
JP 1997 at Man United. Well, at least he's a Man United fan. Is ST15 down again? I don't know. Funny. Dodge Guy 2014 likes the new format. Okay, well at least that's somebody anyway. That's
positive.
Yeah. What have we got? Nice dicky bow, Carlos.
There you go.
Got a fan.
Thanks a lot, yeah.
And that's from Mike Bike 15. So, and I think Dave, your missus is messing with you here because we got Ella 999. You forgot your sandwiches, Dave.
I'm starving. I always eat them before lunch anyway.
Bring them up, Ella.
Oh, all right, cool. So let's have a move on to
Just before we move on,
Yeah, you sure?
one last nugget. One last nugget. Yeah, I think just one last nugget. If you look at a guy who goes through and gets a master's degree and is an absolute expert, he trains for years to get the qualifications to earn maximum money, yeah, in whatever profession he's going into. Our field is no different. If you talk to any of the top earners in the company, you'll notice that they know absolutely everything about the product that they're selling. So you should treat it no different to actually going and getting a university degree or anything like that. Only you can actually do the training, learn it yourself, and then you'll actually produce the money and do the sales at the end of the day. So please move on now. I'm finished. I'm done.
Well, while you were speaking, even more chats have started to come in as well. So I won't resist this, you know. Garmish 22, what's foot traffic? That might be directed a bit later on. I think when we have that question about foot traffic off base, right? Oh, that's so funny that is, you know. Irish Joe in Bavaria. Love is a warm shoulder in a cold, cold world. Well, I know Bavaria can get pretty cold.
He needs a hug.
Yeah, he definitely needs, yeah. Well, Jaybird says, Joe, you all loved up today or what? Okay, so they know each other. Big G, good old Big G, said, what's up, guys? And then we got Ramstein Closure says, ABC, lads. Always be closing. That's what that means. Yeah. Okay, Carlos, question for you. Okay, our resident auto exchange expert. Foot traffic isn't great off base. What do you suggest I do to increase foot traffic? And that comes from Edward in Germany. Any ideas, Carlos?
Well, that's a very valuable question, and I think there as well. I mean, you can probably sit here and we can have discussions, all day long, to come up with many ideas. But there's quite a few things that an ISR definitely should do in off-base location, and the biggest thing is actually knowing your location. You definitely have to be prepared and also have things to offer and come up with new and fresh ideas, and also go back at the return and evaluate, those ideas to find out what works out better for you. So by maximizing the effectiveness of your hours of operations, definitely proves to be, helpful in what you actually do. Now, a couple of, few ideas, when you come in, you can always invite customers in the morning for pastries, coffees, things like that. The way the ops tempo and the missions are going now, off-base locations, the soldiers, they can't visit, the showrooms in the uniform, and the guys are working 12-hour shifts, so with you finding that window of opportunity of knowing when customers are truly available to come by, to make those things that come out and happen. Customer appreciation. Now is the time to where in sales in off-base locations, we really have to, apart from providing a service, we have to also become friends, to our customers. And customer appreciation is another good idea to where, you can invite the customers out for a particular month, free car washes, bring a friend, with them. So that's definitely a way to get your referral business up or what have you. And customers generally, if they're your friend, and if you say for this month or this weekend, bring your vehicle by, free car wash, what have you, bring a friend, they will come out and do that. Group pictures as well, with your delivered customers, so, being in off-base locations, we have over 5 manufacturers that we represent. It's 12 months in a year. So if you were to break those down into months, a Volkswagen in January, Honda in March, what have you, so you can continue to show your customers that you appreciate them and also continue that traffic, coming by.
I like that idea. I've been here a few times when you've done your Volkswagen Appreciation Day and, handing out the little tokens next door for the car wash. And it really does work, And of course, it's a great time to hit people up for referrals as well. So it's not necessarily, trying to grab brand new customers over, but it's a great referral base to get that going. Dave, what about yourself? Anything you would suggest in there?
No, I think really what you're talking about there, and to re-hit when Carlos does his appreciation events, I've seen they're very low cost, and generally they have a great a great effect of loyalty where people will really sing your praises. I mean, we talk about going the extra inch for a customer, and it really sets you aside from the competition, it really sets you aside from other people. They become a raving fan, you know, so little things like that will automatically increase, you know, the love for you and your product, so they'll definitely increase your referral business. And I think he's hit the nail on the head there.
And it's tough. It's no doubt when you're off base. I mean, anybody who's on base right now is listening to this. They're probably just tuning out because they don't care. But I can tell you, when you're off base, yeah, you're right. With the uniforms, is a big deal. You know, people aren't
those days of sitting behind the platform and just waiting for the door to open. You know, they're going away. So you definitely also we have to take the showroom to the customer there as well. Yeah. So, I mean, if you're heavily involved with your social media and, inviting, the customers out to the showroom for special events, whether it's,
big reveals.
Big reveals,
We did a Mercedes events down with, it's always a we when it's successful from a management point of view, Anyway, a Mercedes event was done down in Graf, which I happened to learn about after the fact. And Layla had done the event on it, and she went out, Facebook, she did all that. They brought out like a food van and everything else, and it was really successful, and it was something, it can be hit and miss, as off base to try and run these events, but that was something that really, really worked. And we've tried replicating, and we don't always have the same success, basically, but sometimes that's important. It's just trying to find something new. The car reveals are a big one as well, especially if you've got a database. You can obviously go out to the ST15, send it out there, test drive day or whatever, and they seem to work as well. But I think really it's a weekend thing. If you really want to maximize it, where you forget about trying to get people up on a Friday morning, it ain't going to happen. Right? So you really got to set your things up. And then of course most of these off-base locations, boys and girls who listen at home, aren't able to open on a Sunday. So for example, in Germany, there's strict laws that businesses can't open on a Sunday. Thou shalt keep holy the Sabbath day. So so the lads then are really down to one day and Saturday only. They really make that happen as far as that goes on. So yeah, it's
also sorry to interrupt you. Also, I've seen some of the events. Not really, no. Also, some of the events that I've seen put together. I've seen a few you put together are really late night events. I mean, they're Friday nights. They're into the evening, and it really opened my eyes when it kind of made the AX my home office when I'm doing admin. Was how quiet it was during the day, but as soon as everyone got changed after 6 p.m, the place started pinging, which would normally a lot of places would be their knockoff time, but that's your go time.
We're shooting this right now in an AX showroom, and it's lunchtime on Radio ISR, and there hasn't anybody walking around outside, so we have no fear right now that anybody's going to come in. I think your best time someone's going to come in this evening will be after work, when they can take off their uniforms and then have the freedom to basically then the shop off base. Then
is that uniform rule, is that in Germany as well?
Absolutely, everywhere. It's offset basically. Yeah, exactly. So they're not become targets. Yeah.
And then speaking of that as well, I mean, if you look at now the opportune times that that your location is going to get max visibility, which is another reason why HISR is around the 1500 time frame. You make sure the place is looking immaculate. Your super flags are up, balloons are up, so
car doors are open, even tailgates.
So even if traffic is driving by, the place looks busy. And so it just enthuse people to stop by and say, listen, what's going on there? Just make the place look really happening.
I'd say the majority of your deals actually come in after 1800. When I look at the emails, I'd leave, and I see the emails are pinging in at 7:30. So really, I'd say you might as well just start work about 2 in the afternoon. Don't tell your manager I said that.
And let's move on, just in case there's a revolt somewhere else in the world right now at the moment. He's out to start at 2. Did you hear that? Oh, stop. So while we were talking there, believe it or not, some more chat came in. So I got it up here on the screen. Spangman sold a car on Mars, if that helps anyone. Duran respond, not again.
I wonder who that could be.
Mikey Dan, please do a correct move for Mars cars. Okay, yeah, that's important. And I think it's Jose Moore, which is short for Jose Mourinho then, it must be then. have some respect for me. Yeah, I delivered 3 very important cars. And
There he is.
Yeah, that's a
Jose.
football thing. So our lads that are interested, well, we're talking about the real football, you know, not that football, you know, but
Not the silly handyball.
I went, soccer. Okay, I'm going to say soccer. So anyway, so anybody who's listening to the other side of the world, Jose Mourinho is the manager of Manchester United.
He's writing to us.
And he's waiting to us, so there you go.
Perfect.
And then Naples won. Someone stole his ST15.
You're right.
Very random.
His
There you
sticky
go.
hands down there.
So, boys and girls, I really hope you enjoyed this episode of Rating ISR, and we didn't bore you to death. And if you like it, you know, plan send in some more suggestions, and we'll keep this going. So there you go. Take care.
Bye bye.
Take care.